If you have been wondering how to halftone your images for DTF and you don't want to use expensive or complicated software like Photoshop, I just found the perfect solution for you. Hey guys, it's Melissa, and in this video, I am going to introduce you to a brand new tool. You can even try it for free, and then you can use it for very, very, very inexpensive. It comes down to something like 2 cents per image. Okay. So first, let's talk about what even is halftoning. You probably have heard that term before. Halftoning is what you can think about when you think of an old newspaper photo, right? It's made up of teeny, teeny dots instead of solid ink. That's what halftoning does. And when you use it for DTF, it makes you transfers that have much more breathability, which helps to prevent cracking. You're using less ink. You're giving your image, you're basically knocking out the background color of your image and letting the shirt or the substrate to do the work for you. So let me show you exactly how this works. Okay, so I am here in xTool Creative Space, which actually now has a brand new name called xTool Studio. This is where you're going to find the new halftoning feature. Now, I will say a couple of things. So the software needs to be updated to at least v1.6.6, and you can see in this long list of release notes that they have an option, that they have a note there about this halftoning. There is actually another update after one, but this is the very first one that you have to use. The second thing that you do need to make sure that you're set to is that you are on Apparel printer. Now, if you don't have an xTool machine, that's okay. You can go to the device library option and pick Apparel printing. Okay, so because halftoning is specifically a huge benefit for DTF printing, that's why you have to be on the Apparel printer device. Okay, so then what you're going to do is that you are going to bring in your images. Now, what I will say is that you shouldn't bring it in yet. Okay, first thing that you want to do is go over here to Applications, and you can find the halftone option by doing a search, or if it's not immediately here. So if you just search halftone, it'll come up. Mine's coming up because I already had been using it. So when you bring it up, it's going to show you exactly what to do. So you are going to click it, and this is baked into the xTool software. Now, a couple of things. This does take credits. So it requires credits for you to use after the first time. However, it costs about 2 cents or less per design. So you can decide if it's worth it. It's only 6 cents per design, or 6 credits to download, and you can get 500 credits for $5. So it's very inexpensive to do it. And when you see how easy this is to use it, you're probably going to decide this is worth it. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples on how to use this. So let's do Create New is how you're going to start, and then you're just going to follow the directions. Now, before I import, I do want to show you a couple of things. So these are the defaults. So the knockout color is the color in the image that is going to be removed. That really ideally should be matching what they call BG color. That stands for background color, and you can think of that as like your shirt color. So if you knock out black from your design and have a black shirt, the black is going to fill in the knocked out parts, which is exactly what you want. So the dot shape, the halftone pattern is very important, and why I'm going to show you in a minute, but the defaults here are not exactly what I think works best, and I'm going to show you exactly why and how to fix that. And also, some of it depends on the image itself, okay? And then these are just some export options that you can go through, okay? So we're not going to focus on these advanced options right now because this is a beginner tutorial. We're going to focus up here. Mine says export 6 because I've already used my free download. So don't click download yet, okay? You can play around with this all you want without downloading it. Okay, so we're gonna pull an image in here, and I have a couple of samples that we're gonna go through all of them so you can see the difference. So the first one that we'll use is this cat image, and you're gonna see that there's a ton of black in this image, okay? Now, what you see up here is this is the original file. This is the preview, what it looks like when you have the halftone applied. And it looks almost identical. Like if you go back and forth, you can see it looks pretty much identical. Now, this is the one that people are always a little bit nervous about, is the export. What this is going to look like when you export. That is the benefit right there of halftoning, because look how much less ink you are using as opposed to if this was a full printed out transfer. You are taking advantage of the color of the shirt, and you're still going to be able to get that full effect. Now, why I said I don't love the dot size. Let's zoom in a little bit. Look at the details. Now, in the fur, it doesn't matter so much because those dots, which are literally going to be, think of it like mesh, okay? Those are going to be cut out. They're not going to be there. So what you see, though, is that some of these dots, specifically in the eye, are really kind of evident. And so I like to reduce the dot size because watch what happens when I pull it down to like a 6 or a 4. They become almost impossible to see. Okay, now let's zoom this out because no one is standing a foot from your shirt probably and looking at your transfer. So now when we go from the original to the preview, it's, yes, there is a slight shift there. You can see that. You're losing some small detail, but not a whole lot. And now when we look at the export, you can see that there's even more detail there. And that is because we changed the dot size, okay? So that's really, you could export just like this, okay? I'm not going to export right now because, as I said, we're just playing around and I want to show you how to use this tool. Okay, next thing, let's replace the image with this bear. Now, this bear, I specifically generated some of these images using Gemini because I wanted to give you specific examples for what works with halftoning and what doesn't. So you didn't catch me. I did this on purpose so that I could give you exact images. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, this is the original and this is the preview. And I don't love this. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit. And in some areas, it looks fine, right? Because again, we have the knockout color as black. So it's going to remove some of the black and the background color is also black. But it almost looks like checkerboard to me. So in this case, I'm going to adjust the angle of the dots, okay? And what that seems to hide some of that, didn't it look like plaid to you? It looked like plaid to me. So even when I zoom in very, very closely now, I'm not getting that. But on the further out view, you can see that it's much less noticeable. Okay, so we can change the angle of even more. So that's one of the benefits here to taking advantage of using these different options that you have. So here, I increase the size. Now I'm gonna keep it this way, and I'm gonna show you what the export looks like. All of the black has been removed, and the green that we see over here is still partially using those dots. And the reason is it's gonna print some green, but it's gonna pull some black from the background, and that's where we're gonna get this, what is going to ultimately look like this. And what you're going to see in the export is that the white areas or the cream color areas, those are going to print because we need to block out the black background. Now, let's just do one change for this. Let's say that we have a cream colored shirt and we want to knock out the cream color. So we can use this eyedropper and we can tell it that this is going to be the knockout color and this is the background color. And now do you see why it makes a difference when you put the colors up there, how the dot size really makes a big difference? Okay, so let's zoom in. This one is not going to give us very many dots, okay, because we need these dark areas to be dark. So when we go to the export, we're going to have much more actually printing. Do you see that? So what's not printing is the cream, but everything else is printing. Now, if we increase this dot size, that's where you're going to get a transfer that is not nearly as solid, but the preview is not going to look like the original. But if you're looking for something like a vintage look, this is a really good way to do it. Okay, let's do one more, and this is a sunset. Which has a ton of gradient. Let's just go to the original here and put this back to default, which was black and black. And in this case, even if I do a small dot size, actually, this is not the image that I wanted to show you. But while we're here, I'll show you. The reason I didn't want to show you this one is because this makes it very evident to me that halftoning doesn't work on all images. There are just some that I don't like the way that this looks. I think it's just too many dots. There's too many like brighter colors that are all gradient together. It doesn't look good to me. This is how it's going to print, but that's really a pretty far cry. Even this is a very far cry from what the original looks like. And so I don't care for this. So let me show you another option. This option is this image right here. And this image also now has a whole bunch of dots. This is what the original looks like. Again, I don't love the way this looks, but you have another option here, not dots, but this line. And so what I have found is if you use the line instead of the dots, in cases where there's vertical or horizontal lines and you adjust the angle to kind of go with the photo instead of fighting it, it actually looks pretty good. Okay, so you can see this doesn't really work because it makes lines across. It looks like banding almost. But if you adjust this to the point where it's like this, it's not real obvious that you are making this up of a whole bunch of lines and that you have black in there. And again, we can reduce this even more. So we could reduce this to 3 or 4, and then when we zoom out, you're really getting a different type of effect. Now, again, it is not the original, but to put something like this on a solid surface, a transfer like this on a solid surface, it would literally just be one big transfer block. That's a lot of ink. That's a lot of material. But if instead you use these dots, I don't love this, but this, because it's more uniform across the entire image, I feel like it looks better. And again, some of this is going to be your personal preference, right? Some of this is also going to depend on the background color of your design, of your shirt, because again, if we have a white shirt, to me that doesn't look right. Even if we knock out the white instead of the black, it doesn't look right. So there are situations where halftoning is not going to be ideal for you. And there's also going to be situations where maybe halftoning doesn't work in all cases. But if you adjust the settings a little bit, maybe you can get it to the point where you're like, you know what? I actually think that looks cool. That gives it a vintage look, and I actually like that. I'm having a lot less ink. I'm having a lot better of a transfer that has some breathability, and I have the ability here to halftone in a way where the image still looks pretty darn good. Okay, so now let's talk just very briefly about exporting, because I am going to do another video on how to not only export, but what your halftone images look like side by side to something original. So what you're going to do is you have these two options. Whether yours says export or free because you haven't done it yet, you're going to have these two options. One is going to be to download. Here are the prices for downloading. Like I said, you get 500 credits for $5. And right now I haven't upgraded yet, but I will. And it takes 6 credits, as you can see, to download. So very, very inexpensive to do this. It is not a free tool after the first use, but it is essentially freemium because you can use it to halftone your images. You just can't export it. Now there is another option here that says to import to Canvas. This also requires credits. And I'm going to tell you, this did not work for me. I had to export or I had to download the import to Canvas. I don't know what the issue was, but it did not seem to be working for me. Okay. So I've been halftoning and printing designs and really experimenting with this tool. I'm really excited to show you guys more about this. And in the next video, I'm going to print them, put them on shirts, and so we can compare halftone to a solid DTF side by side. Make sure while you're here that you hit subscribe on your way out. If you're looking for personalized same-day support for your DTF machine, for your xTool printer, for xTool Studio, Silhouette Studio, anything that you see or have seen on my channel and in my studio, I offer personalized same-day support and exclusive video content over on Silhouette U. There is a discount code in the description below, and I'll see you guys soon.